NFC West, let's wrap it up. 3 more teams to discuss here. San Francisco 49ers. Interesting year for the Niners. They're going to have 900 comp picks next year, right? Because they haven't brought much in. But everybody's signing. Everybody's signing. They might set a record. Is there a record? Is there a cap on their comp picks? They're going to have a ton of comp picks. Everybody's signing. The biggest news, though, Mac Jones. Kyle Shanahan has signed Mac Jones, 2 years, $7 million. They finally get Mac Jones in San Francisco.
Well, if the reports were accurate that Kyle Shanahan really wanted Mac Jones all along, when they traded 3 first-round picks to get number 3 overall, that the target was Mac Jones, and he was eventually talked off the ledge, and it became Trey Lance, and that was an unmitigated disaster. If those were accurate, then Brock Purdy's not getting $55, $60 million a year anymore. In fact, he's expendable. We can get rid of him right now. We got Mac Jones.
Now, there's more Mac Jones data points out there right now.
That is true, and they haven't been good.
No.
Most of them.
Since 2021, they have not been good. So the Mac Jones data points are not great, but an interesting backup signing here. They also bring in Demarcus Robinson, 2 years, $9.5 million. That guy's just come good these last few years after being the guy that was always adjacent to bad stuff in Jalen Reagor style. Every time the ball was thrown his way in Kansas City, he's become a pretty dependable player, especially in the red zone for the Rams. So like that move. Luke Farrell making 3 years, $20 million as a blocking tight end. Other than that, though, for the Niners, it's all about players out the door and recent draft picks needing to step up and replace those players.
Jalen Reagor, by the way, who got re-signed the other day. Fair play to him.
Yeah.
That's a real testament to just how badly you can play and still end up being employed by the NFL.
You know, there's this list of players that I would always go and get because they have some level of speed and upside. And go ahead, ask your question.
You would kick the tire. Jalen Reagor would be on your list of guys to bring in every year.
He is the opposite. I would never bring in Jalen Reagor. No offense to Jalen Reagor. Even if he had a 50-catch season, for every 50 catches that he has, I think he's responsible for probably 5 turnovers. There's going to be some wrong route in there that leads to not just like an incompletion, a legitimate pick. So the downside with Reagor is just not enough. But the upside with John Ross was like, I'm going to get some 50-yard touchdowns here. But he's not going to cost me turnovers. Like Jalen Reagor is going to cost turnovers. He's on my never list.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Again, no offense, not personal, Jalen. I liked him coming out of college. But seen him play since then. So who's out for the Niners? Do we have this list?
Well, Deebo traded away. That's the flip side of the Washington thing.
Kyle Juszczyk released.
Aaron Banks gone.
Aaron Banks gone. Javon Hargrave gone. Travarius Ward gone. Dre Greenlaw gone. Hufanga gone. Who else am I missing? Leonard Floyd gone.
Gone.
So this offseason is far more about what's gone and rather than what's coming in. And so, as we've said before, there's 2 things at play here. We're setting up for Brock Purdy probably has to get paid unless Mac Jones outplays him. Then he has to get paid. Brock Purdy has to get paid. And look, I think the Niners did do a nice job. I think Ricky Pearsall will be a good fill-in replacement at receiver. I think Renardo Green will be a good fill-in at corner, right, for Ward. He already played well last year. I think they drafted players to replace some of these players. But the previous drafts just did not add enough starters for the Niners to just keep this thing rolling. So there's some vibes to like what Buffalo was last year, where you see a lot of veterans out the door, but these are better veterans out the door than what Buffalo had. And the foundation for Buffalo was stronger because it starts with Josh Allen, who's the MVP. And the foundation for the Niners is Brock Purdy, who I think is very good. But the question was always, well, how is he going to do it when you lose a Deebo? When you start to lose some of these pass catchers and you don't have the same type of depth, that's still a question here. So it's not comfortable for the Niners. Last year's draft was huge. This year's draft was massive because I think they need to draft players that are going to contribute right away, especially on the defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, I think our conclusion is the offense should still be fine. The skill position players there are still really good. Obviously, Ricky Pearsall is going to need to have a bigger impact in year 2 than year 1. On the other hand, he probably won't get shot again to start year 2, so that's probably going to help him excel relative to last year. The offensive line is still a question mark, like left guard, center. These are not strengths of this group. The other spots, I mean, Trent Williams still one of the best players in the NFL, but I think he's now reached Tyron Smith, Teron Armstead world of you probably have to budget in a quarter of the season being missed by him at his age. Right guard, good. Dominic Pooney was really good last year, and Colton McKivitz is okay at right tackle, but that group is still a potential issue that you could upgrade upon. The defense is where it's starting to look pretty rough, though. Like you've got Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, both superstars. That's kind of it though now. I mean, Renardo Green was good as a rookie, but like we are low on other players that you're comfortable with on that defense.
Yeah, I mean, defensive line. I mean, they're sitting there picking at 11, and I think they could go defensive line. I would love to see the offensive line pick. We talked the other day. I think the offense will be okay. I think they'll be okay. I think they could deal with losing Deebo, losing Aaron Banks. They'll be fine. Want to see what happens with this defense. The Niners have been at their best when they are very deep on that D line, and they might bring in what the Rams brought in 4 defensive linemen last year. This could be a 4 defensive lineman draft for the Niners because of what they've lost and what they need next to Nick Bosa there. So more work to do for San Francisco, and they'll probably have 4 comp picks next year. I haven't calculated it, but I'm just assuming with everybody leaving, it's got to be right. They'll have 4 picks next year, and the volume drafting will now become more prevalent over these next 2 years for the Niners, which coincides with Purdy and the money. Like that, it has to go that way.
Yeah, I mean, their fortunes are tied to the draft. They had a few really fallow years of drafting badly, and then last year they looked like they got the ship back on track. They need another year where they're drafting well, otherwise they will have problems going forward. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.